Today we're looking at 3 modern interpretations of the Painkiller cocktail. The Sonando from Chad Austin, which is featured in the Minimalist Tiki book, the Painkiller from Matthew Ballinger, and the PKNY from Garrett Richard in the Tropical Standard book. Now the Painkiller from Matthew Ballinger and the Sonado were using stock ingredients for the most part. With the PKNY, you will need to acid adjust your orange juice, and we're using a different coconut mix for that one. It's the same one I used back for the Miami Vice video, but I'll have detailed instructions in this episode's description. This is not going to be a comparison video or taste test of the 3 modern interpretations I'm sharing here today, just kind of to showcase some modern looks at the Painkiller. So I'm going to make each one of them, and then I'll taste them, and I'll give you some notes along the way. So let's get started with the Painkiller from Matthew Ballinger, and he's currently at Death & Company in Los Angeles, and this is not the first cocktail of his to show up here. We've also done the Shore Leave Spritz, which is also a great drink. To make this version of the Painkiller, you'll need pineapple juice, Coco Lopez, orange juice, an overproof Jamaican rum, and the recipe specifically asks for Smith & Cross, an aged rum from Guyana, and it does say El Dorado 15, I'm using 12 instead. And then I have an overproof Demerara rum. It calls for Lemon Hart 151, but I'm using Hamilton 151 instead. So for all these cocktails today, I'm gonna be using fresh pineapple juice and fresh orange juice, and I'll be making them in the drink mixer, but you can shake these as always. So let's start with 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice, 1 ounce of Coco Lopez, 3/4 ounces of orange juice, 3/4 ounces of an overproof Jamaican rum, and preferably Smith & Cross here, 1/2 ounce of an aged Demerara rum, and 1/4 ounce of an overproof Demerara rum. Garnish with an orange slice, some nutmeg, oh, and don't forget the mint. And to pose for camera. So there you go, an updated Painkiller from Matthew Ballinger. All right, let's try the Matthew Ballinger version. This is going to be the most similar to the original or the Pusser's Painkiller. We're not acid adjusting juices, and we're not using lime juice either. It still very much tastes like a Painkiller, but because of the rums and the ratios of the drink, it's a lot less sweet. So it's not, it doesn't have any of that cloying sweetness you get from too much cream of coconut. So it's less sweet. So it's way more balanced out than the traditional Painkiller. And I honestly don't think you have to add acid to every cocktail that doesn't have acid. Some drinks are okay like that. In this version of the Painkiller, I like that it doesn't have that sharp acidity. It just makes it a much better, less creamy, less sweet resort style Painkiller. And it's delicious. The next update to the Painkiller we're going to make is the Sonando, and it's from Chad Austin. It's in the Minimalist Tiki book. For this one, you'll need lime juice, orange juice, cream of coconut, vanilla syrup, passion fruit syrup, an overproof Jamaican rum, and it calls for Wray Nephew here, and an unaged cane juice rum. It does call for Copalli white, which I don't have. I'm using a cachaça instead. And you're going to start with 3/4 ounces of lime juice, 1.5 ounces of orange juice, 3/4 ounces of cream of coconut, 1/4 ounce of a vanilla syrup, 1/4 ounce of passion fruit syrup, 1/4 ounce of an overproof Jamaican rum, and it calls for Wray Nephew, and then 2 ounces of an unaged cane juice rum. And the recipe calls for Copalli white, which I don't have. I'm going to sub in some cachaça instead. Garnish with an orange wedge, pineapple fronds, and some nutmeg. So there you go, the Sonando from Chad Austin. Before we dive into this one's going to be probably the most different from the original. We're using a cane juice rum, so there's no big, dark, heavy rums. And then we are using some lime juice, as well as no pineapple juice, but some vanilla syrup and some passion fruit syrup as well. So let's give it a try. It's wonderful. The cane juice, the cachaça in there just adds like that fresh grassiness, but it's nowhere near that agricole intensity. I love cachaças and rum barbacoa for that reason. It gives you that flavor that you're wanting from the fresh cane juice, but you're not getting that intensity of something like a rum jam. Now, I've not had that Copalli white, so I couldn't tell you if that skews closer to cachaça or something like an agricole, but I asked around, and regardless of that, this to me is much better using cachaça, a lighter cane juice spirit, than putting something like rum jam. So it's a wild card of the three we're making today. It's freaking delicious. It's not too sweet at all. Just enough coconut there. And then the hints of the passion fruit and vanilla just add something that's a little bit different. And obviously I'm gonna need to revisit this. And like I said, I know it's not a cachaça cocktail, but out of all the cachaça cocktails I've had, this is, it's fantastic. It's one of my favorites. Before we get to our final cocktail, the PKNY from the Tropical Standard book, a little bit about the Make and Drink Patreon, because it has become one of the most important ways to support this channel. I didn't know that when I started doing that back in August. I kind of did it just to try it out, but it's become a great community, but also it's so helpful to keep this channel going. There's behind the scenes videos, there's videos that you can contribute to, and there's 3 different tiers to the Make and Drink Patreon. Now, I think possibly maybe the most valuable thing there is you get access to the Make and Drink Discord channel, which is a lively Discord channel full of people like you who are overly obsessed with tropical and tiki cocktails. I'm in there a lot of the time throughout most of my day, since I shoot a lot of videos and edit. Usually I just have Discord open. There's a lot of ideas that get bounced back and forth between people. I'm always asking for recommendations for subs for certain ingredients I have, and there's even ways for you to contribute your ideas or just help workshop a cocktail that hopefully will appear here in the near future. So if you're interested in supporting this channel more, go check out the Patreon page. There's a link below, and there's always a link in the episode description. So our last painkiller is the PKNY. It's from Garrett Richard in the Tropical Standard book, and what makes this one a little bit different than the other ones is that you're going to need an acid-adjusted orange juice. So we're not adding acid through lime juice. The recipe is up on the screen right now, but it will be included in the episode's description as well. For this one, you'll need a saline solution, Angostura bitters, orange juice that's been acid adjusted to lime juice, pineapple juice, coconut mix, and this is a mix of Coco Lopez and coconut milk, Smith & Cross rum, Caruba rum, and Hamilton 151. Start with 5 drops of a saline solution, 3 dashes of Angostura bitters, half an ounce of orange juice that's acid adjusted to lime, 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice, 1.5 ounces of coconut mix, 3/4 ounces of Smith & Cross rum, 3/4 ounces of Caruba rum, 3/4 ounces of Hamilton 151. Garnish with some nutmeg, some grated cinnamon, an orange slice, and a cinnamon stick. So there you go, the PKNY from the Tropical Standard book. All right, let's try the PKNY from the Tropical Standard book. It has this heavy richness to it, which is coming from the rums, using Hamilton 151, so a Demerara rum, using Caruba, a dark Jamaican rum, and then Smith & Cross providing like that funkiness. Those rums don't overwhelm it though. It's still balanced out with the orange juice. The cream of coconut, the coconut mix here is not too sweet. This tastes even more, I think, like an original painkiller than the Matthew Bellinger one, but that acid adjusted orange juice just helps balance things out and make it less sweet than it would be without it. Everyone I know who has made this, and the people I see online on, Instagram that make it, everyone says it's like the best painkiller they've ever had. It's delicious, and I love that the 3 that we had today are all so different from kind of a more traditional. This one's maybe the most kind of updated, and then that one from Chad Austin is just sort of like a departure from a traditional painkiller in the best of ways. But the PKNY, it is fantastic, and a little tribute there to the PKNY bar from New York. So there you go, 3 modern painkillers. If you haven't watched my other painkiller video from a few weeks ago, I went over the somewhat original painkiller from the Soggy Dollar Bar, which is I think close to what they serve there, might be a little off in the specs. And then the one from Pusser's, which is like the official one. These three are all delicious. These three are all going to be better than those original ones. So if you've not had either of these three, it's time to make them. Make all three of them. See which one you like. I do think the Matthew Ballinger one is going to be the most familiar to the Painkiller that you're used to. The Sonando from Chad Austin is that's one that I'm gonna keep coming back to that one because it's different and interesting, and yeah, it's a far departure from the Painkiller, but I mean it's not a drink we need to be precious about. And the PKNY from the Tropical Center book, you know, up there with everything that they do in that book, the best version of that thing. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like below. Consider subscribing if you want to support this channel more. Go check out the Patreon page, and otherwise, see you on the next one.
Sing, sing with joyous heart.